We're going to talk about Cobra pose today. So Cobra pose is a chest or a heart opener, so it's a little back bend. Good start to back bend. We're going to go through some modifications and what we're going to use in the pose for our muscles. So if you have a headache, carpal tunnel, or a back injury, those are contraindications, and then obviously pregnancy. You don't be laying on your belly. So if you are just starting into back bends, it can be a nice one to start with, and we can start at either like a baby cobra or a sphinx pose. So we're going to come into cobra first, and then we'll cover some modifications. So we're going to come onto our bellies, and we're going to really be engaging the legs here. We're going to roll the thighs in just a little bit. And so there are different opinions on this. Some people say, you know, it's okay to engage your glutes as you're coming up. And some people say you can engage them, but don't clench. So I think that's going to be sort of a personal preference thing for each of you. But we're going to come onto our backs, onto our bellies, pardon me. We're going to bring the hands right about by the armpits. So I would definitely recommend warming up before you come into this pose. So when we're here, we're really gripping with the fingers, and we're going to pull our mat towards us, which sounds weird, but we don't want to compress the spine. So we don't want to be pushing away, because then we're going to be compressing. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it compresses the spine, and we don't want to do that. So we're here. We've got our tops of our feet pressing into the mat. Our legs are active, and we're going to engage our glutes a little bit. And we're going to pull and lift as much as is comfortable for you. Fingers really pulling. So we're protecting our wrists, opening the chest, so we're engaging the back muscles. We're getting a nice arch in the back. So we're pulling, so we're opening the chest. We're using some of those pec muscles to help, but we're actually opening it. So we're using our arms to pull those shoulder blades onto, or the scapula, keep it on the ribs, and we're engaging that serratus anterior, we're engaging our middle trap, our lower trapezius, all those muscles. We're keeping the shoulders away from the ears. And so as we do that, we're opening the chest, we're creating a little back bend. We don't want to have the legs rolling out, so we're not going to be engaging the lateral rotators. We're going to engage the medial rotators of the hip a little bit. So we have our TFL, our glute min, glute med, inner quads. So we're going to do one more time. We're going to hands near your armpits, just under your shoulders, depending on your proportions. So we're going to pull and keep the shoulders down, opening the chest, and just come up to wherever feels good for you. Now, and then we lower back down. If you are just getting started and you want to modify this, you can do, they call it a baby cobra. So you come here, but you don't come very far off of the ground. So we're really focusing on engaging the legs to ground us down and give us some power through this pose. Because if we don't engage the legs, it's all in the arms, and that's not a good feeling. So really lifting, and we're engaging through the legs. And if you do it wrong and then you do it right, you'll be able to feel the difference pretty quickly. Another modification to this would be sphinx pose. So the difference here is the forearms. So we're going to place them down. Now, you can do restorative versions of this. You know, as people age, sometimes they tend to lose the curve in their spine, and so this can help restore some of that lumbar curve, if that's an issue for you. But sphinx pose, we're here. It's a much simpler version, but it starts to open the chest. So if you spend all day with your arms forward, really bringing them back, and not forcing them into lateral rotation, but just starting that process of opening the chest. If you're working with a student who is really, really tight in their chest, I would say start with the easier variations, because we don't want to jump into it. We want to build into it and gain some power and some strength in our legs and our core.